No, it's actually
taken by
quite good. It's actually quite good.
The trailer actually put me off. So
it's a revenge story, as I should say.
Okay, record to this computer. Cool. And set the timer and reset timer.
Hey, let me crack a beer.
You may crack a bear. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the week once again. That time of the week when legends begin, stories are told, and people back in the day used to gather around a fire, but now you'll gather around the I don't know, the Walkman. Oh god, that sounds really old. The radio, no, that's even older. The iPhone, that's it. Around your phones, and you listen to stories told from way gone by. Well, to take you on your journey this week, I've got my compatriot, Big Dave, as we go on a hunt for stories, tales, and just tell you what we'll be watching this week. Why? Because we're different from the normal nerds. We don't tend to get angry about stuff unless it's The Expanse, which seems to wind Dave up. But
it doesn't wind me up. It's just shockingly crap.
I just don't like it. But ladies and gentlemen, join us as we go on a journey with the world's finest podcast. And don't worry, I know it's only two of us, but Mike will return at some point. He's busy prepping his universe for Christmas, so he can't join us. But the Mike will return. Why? Because we're the boys from Bossk. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode. Whoop, whoop,
I didn't find your little gadget for you, your little bell.
One day I'll get a little bell.
I'll get you one for Christmas.
I need to see how,
or like a little piccolo thing.
Yeah, or how I can install a sound desk on the computer so I can do a soundboard. Because there's quite a few, like, the sound from Game of Thrones. Shame every time somebody makes a rubbish film. Or like, I don't know.
But that'd just be a Zack Snyder button.
Yeah. I've got to stop being that hard on Zack Snyder. He's not a supervillain himself. He's just a super fan. And he did probably made a better film than I could make of that lot. And it seems that his inspiration is still carrying on because The Rock is still working within that same universe, I believe. And his film, Black Adam, is coming out soon. And that should be quite good. Next year, I think, Black Adam, The Rock. I did put a trailer out for that, I think in September. Did you catch that little trailer? Have you seen any of the Black Adam stuff?
I watched the trailer. It looked very good.
Well, the Black Adam character is, I think it was created in the 1940s, if my memory serves me right. And he was meant to be the champion before Captain Marvel, the DC version of Captain Marvel, who's called Shazam. And we've already had a Shazam film. So it's, and I think at the end of the Shazam...
Are they not rivals?
Yes. But in modern age, Black Adam's become a bit of an anti-hero as opposed to a straight-out villain.
So one's meant to be good and one's meant to be bad.
Yeah, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens. And what I didn't know before this week was that Black Adam's powers are based on the old Egyptian gods, as opposed to Shazam's, which is I think the Greek gods. So that should be quite interesting to see what happens. That film looks good. It's going to have Hawkman and a few other characters in it. I think even the Green Lantern. But don't quote me on that. But it's The Rock again, being invulnerable. So I don't know how much we'll actually end up getting out of that. Because The Rock's invulnerable in every single thing he does. Right, so... I don't like starting off with bad news, but obviously one of my favorite artists, George Perez, and even if you don't know comic books, you would have seen his art in some comic books at some point down the road. George Perez is responsible for some of the greatest comic books of all time. One of my favorites being, I think he did he drew the art for the original Infinity Gauntlet comic book storyline. And he's been diagnosed with terminal cancer. And, there's just been a big outpouring of love for him. But, it's one of those tragedies that there's not much anybody can do anything about it. But I just want to say he's one of my favorite artists. He drew the. Did you ever see the Marvel Marvel versus DC books? Did you ever see those days?
I've got a couple upstairs.
Yeah, he drew the art for the main books in that, and he's done plenty of Superman, plenty of Avengers, and he seems to be like the nicest guy in the world. So, and like I said, he drew some of the most important comic book moments that we've ever had. Teen Titans, the Crisis on Infinite Earths, and you would have known Crisis of Infinite Earths from the Arrowverse. Yeah. And I just think it's one of those things. But he announced he's got terminal cancer, and the outpouring of love for the old fella's been fantastic. But like I said, if you haven't checked out any of his stuff, check it. You're probably aware of it, and just to see how amazing his art was. Okay, moving on. Dave, you don't watch any Doctor Who. You're not a Doctor Who fan, or were you ever a Doctor Who fan? Did you ever feel the Doctor? Huh?
We went through this last week, and I told you then. Matt Smith is the only Doctor Who I've watched.
So you did have a moment there with Doctor Who.
I've had the others when they were like old, crinkly old men.
Okay, yeah.
When I was a kid,
I enjoyed the last series.
I was never big into it.
That's right. There's still a few specials coming up. I've enjoyed the last season, Flux. It's been quite good. I think she deserves a crossover with the other Doctors. That'd be quite cool.
I find
Get
her
Matt
quite
Tennant
annoying.
back. That's fair enough. I love her. But there were mad headlines going, viewing figures have gone down really badly, and they haven't. They've only gone down by a couple of 100,000. And that was just live.
That's quite bad
figures
in real world.
Well, no, because it was if you start at 500,000 for your 5.5 million for your first episode, and your last episode gets like 4, that's still pretty good in my books for a show like. And that was just live viewing figures. I bet you the streaming service figures are probably right through the roof.
Oh, it's when Doctor Who's on. It's at a stupid time.
It was on Sunday, yeah.
And then people are like on holiday and they're out for the day and stuff like that. It's always on like 6:30. People ain't around.
Yeah, well, I said before it should be back on a Saturday evening slot. I don't know why it's on a Sunday evening.
Because of the will.
That was just my thing. Huh?
The will. Michael McIntyre's The Will. Yeah,
let's dump the will and get Doctor Who back where it needs to be. Now, did you ever watch did I talk to you about this before? Did you Extraction? Did you like the first one that had old Thor playing like I believe your words were you hated it.
No, I didn't hate it.
I
different.
Dave, you forget I've got recordings.
Well, it was boring.
No, that's fine. Well, the sequel's coming, and I think they just dropped a trailer for it.
Yeah, I know one of my friends isn't going to be in it.
So yeah, really okay. So yeah, if you are, it's directed by I think the Russo brothers, or at least one of the Russos. No, it's written by one of the Russos. So I enjoyed the first one. I thought it was lots of action. I thought it was quite nice that it wasn't in where it was located in, I think, India. And it was just a really cool set for it to be filmed in, and that worked quite well. So it was quite nice. So the sequel should be coming next year, and obviously Chris Hemsworth, the man that replaced Will Smith in The Men in Black.
Wow.
Sorry, just had to think that.
Wow.
Like, whose idea was that?
But he also replaced a lot of people in Ghostbusters. So there you go.
Yeah.
The bad Ghostbusters, that is.
I enjoyed him. It wasn't a bad Ghost, but that was Ghostbusters 2.
No, it was the third one with the women.
No, it wasn't. Look,
Hemsworth is the one with the women.
That was fine. I enjoyed it. I remember watching the cinema and I enjoyed it. I don't think it's a bad film. I think it's not as good as it could have been.
It was more of a comedy more than Ghostbusters.
I think
a lot of comics in it.
Yeah, I think the original. Yeah, it was a bit. Oh no, I think they were both the original Ghostbusters. They were all comics as well. I
think they were being serious in that, and then they're a bit wacky. Where this one, they were just completely whack jobs.
I don't know.
Even though Bill Murray was still a nutter in it.
I think they should have done a proper sequel. It wasn't a sequel. It's kind of a homage.
It wasn't a sequel, was it?
No, it wasn't.
It was a separate film.
They said it was a sequel in the trailer, and I was like, "You mother!" Because all the original cast appear in it. And then if you watch the film that came out last,
I don't think Dan Aykroyd was in it.
Yeah, he was. Dan Aykroyd played a cab driver.
Okay.
And they had this new sequel. I don't think it's much better than 2016 one. It's all right. They played it.
I haven't seen it.
Really? You got to watch it. It's got the entire cast.
I completely forgot it came out.
God.
Well, really? A lot been going on, hasn't there, in the world?
All right, we'll watch it. I think it's quite. We'll watch it for next week, and we'll do a quick review of it. If you can catch it. What?
I'm going to pay to watch it.
I think it's quite a good film. It's a nice homage to the original movie, and it sets up a sequel quite nicely. Whether or not they do it, I don't know. But it also gives Winston a better position than it did in the previous films that he done. But we'll see. Ghostbusters, watch it. I loved it. And when I say everybody's in it, everybody's in it. That's all I'm going to say. Everybody comes back and they're in it.
R.I.P.
Everybody's in it. Now,
how can he be in it? He died in real life.
What's the name of the film, Dave?
Okay. So he comes back as a ghost. Okay.
No, I hate to bring a bad news. I'll just make this quick. Anne Rice passed away at 80. She was a writer of Interview with the Vampire. Superb writer. Did you like Interview with the Vampire?
Is that the one with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
That was a really good film.
Yeah, she wrote that one. The sequels weren't that good. I think there's a TV show coming down the line. But Anne Rice was an absolutely lovely human being in a way that J.K. Rowling could actually learn to me as a writer. And I think, that she passed away, I think, yesterday. So, but yes, I think there's a new TV series coming out. But if you can, check out some of her work. I certainly have, and I've enjoyed it. Now, Dave, what generation are we? Are we Gen X or Gen Z?
We're the first generation. We're the work hard generation.
Because Gen Z, I think, basically, did you ever watch when you were younger West Side Story? I want to be in America.
I have seen bits of it.
I know you used to sing
a bit like The Sound of Music and stuff like that.
I know you used to sing
it's on Christmas
and dance away in your living room.
It's not my sort of thing. I wasn't.
Don't lie, Dave. I know when you were a kid, that's what you used to do before you got tall.
I actually went out and had a life and played with my friends and almost get killed every day.
So that came out this week, and apparently it's flopping hard.
That's a
it's only made
Spielberg film,
10 million. What's that?
Spielberg film.
Yep, Steven Spielberg. And it literally made 10 million on its first go on the box office. It's been banned in some Middle Eastern countries as well, which I don't think it affects its box office because Saudi Arabia has never been a big market. But apparently it's doing really badly. And the claim is that the current generation don't like musicals. I don't think that's the case.
I don't think that's the case because
I just think it was badly timed.
What's the one with the Wolverine in?
Which one? The one with Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, yeah.
Oh, the circus dude.
Yeah, but that was a big hit, and that was a really good film.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think, and it was an original product as well.
And Les Mis was quite a big hit.
Yeah, no, I think Les Mis flopped actually in cinema. Did that hit big? I think it actually. No, but you're right, and I didn't even think of those examples. And that's the whole thing, I think. At the end of the day, a lot of people are very... The Greatest Showman, that was the film.
Yeah, The Greatest Showman, that was a really
That was a big hit, and I don't think it's that this current generation don't like musicals. West Side Story, it's a remake of the original West Side Story.
Was the new Mary Poppins a musical?
Yes.
There's quite a lot.
Did that hit? Was that a hit?
I watched
it on video and I despised it greatly, but that must be because I'm just old.
Yeah, I think it's because you didn't want to go bad against the original. It was okay. It was watchable.
Really? Okay. I had to watch it again. It hurt my feelings.
No, I want to do it again.
Because I think with West Side Story, it's a remake of an original. I think all the songs are the same in it, as far as I know. I may watch it when it comes out because it's going to be on Disney Plus as well. I think there was some negative press about the story because one of the cast were involved in a sexual assault. But also, I think the film should have been released around Valentine's Day. You know, around Christmas, there's enough films that people are going to go and watch as a family. West Side Story isn't a fan. Like, you're not going to take your kids to watch West Side Story unless they particularly love that type of thing. But yeah, it's flopped hard. And Spielberg, I haven't heard any from them. I think they may keep it in the cinema for a while. Because I don't think it flopped because it was West Side Story. I think it was just bad timing and bad press.
It's one of those things they don't really push films anymore unless it's going to be a Marvel film or something like that.
You think Disney just didn't give it the love?
I just don't think. Well, you've seen it on like the news and stuff, but you don't see trailers on the TV anymore for films unless it's going to be like Spider-Man or something.
What's more interesting about this film is that it made 10 million in the North American box office over its opening weekend, despite being one of the best reviewed films.
Yeah, but America's had a bad weekend. They've had tornadoes and stuff, haven't they? So
true.
I would want to leave the house. I've got a house left.
See, Dave, this is, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know this is why I've got Dave here, right? Dave keeps my feet on the ground. Already 5 times he brought out things I didn't even think of. And that's perfectly another great example. COVID, tornadoes, all sorts. People just probably aren't willing to get out for a film like that.
Even though it's probably on HBO Max or something.
It'll be Disney Plus. It might go to, I know Fox made some really weird deals. So there's a few films that are on HBO Max that aren't going to be on Disney for a bit. And I love telling that story of how Disney actually owned a bit of Batman. They own that Gotham TV series because that was Fox. So I'll be interested to see where that ends up. The first 2 seasons, the first couple of seasons of that show were quite good. Right, where was I? Alan Moore.
Talk about your West Side Story.
Legend. What's that?
Talk about West Side Story.
I know, but we're done with that. Unless you've got more to say about it, like you want to be in America. You want to be in America. You've been to America.
I've been quite a few times.
Yeah. Alan Moore. This is just a quick story. Alan Moore, who was also, I think, one of probably the greatest comic book writers of his generation, and certainly
really can't get comfortable.
And certainly probably one of the greatest comic book writers of all time. He wrote Dark Knight Returns. He wrote The Watchmen. He wrote that was Frank Miller. He wrote The Watchmen, Dark Knight. No, what did he? He wrote The Watchmen. Where else again?
Wow, you're doing really well tonight, I tell you.
Where's the support? Where's the love? Sorry, he's in that generation. He wrote Watchmen at the same time as books like The Dark Knight Returns came out. He wrote The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I love that film.
He wrote V for Vendetta. He wrote From Hell. But he hasn't written comic books for about 20 odd years now. He refuses to write comic books anymore because of the way he's treated. And there's an article that came out, which I'll put the link to in the blogs, but his daughter basically explains that he got shafted too many times. And I do hope at some point the industry can make amends with Alan Moore, because I think it misses his writing, for starters. But 2, he literally is one of the greatest writers. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the comic book, not the film, is one of the greatest comic books I've ever read. And that sort of talent the comic book industry could do with more of. Did you ever read The Watchmen? Did you like The Watchmen film?
No, I didn't particularly like The Watchmen.
Oh.
Mike would, but he's not here to talk about it. So we've lost out on that one.
You're not a second-class citizen of this show, Dave. I'm not having that. But that's fair enough. Like I said,
I just couldn't get into it. I tried, and I tried the TV show, and I couldn't get into that either.
Well, here's one for you. Apparently,
I read the comic, and I thought that was really good.
Well, there you go. See, that's all we need. In other news, the Matrix Reservation, apparently Tom Hardy's going to be appearing in that. Tom Hardy apparently has become the world's greatest British actor with Idris and all the rest of it, even though I remember him in Star Trek Nemesis, where he played a young Patrick Stewart, which is, isn't a bad film because of him, admittedly. But he apparently is making a surprise cameo in Matrix.
He doesn't really do a bad TV show or film. He puts his hands in many pies, that guy.
Yeah, well, he did Peaky Blinders, and his character is one of the most popular ones. He's in Venom, and again, I don't think Venom would be his bigger hit without Tom Hardy, because Tom Hardy brought something like amazing to that performance. And I think the sequel even did really well as well. So good on him.
He had his own TV show as well. That was pretty good.
Which one was that?
I can't remember what it was called. It was on the BBC.
Not Voodoo. It was.
It was Voodoo.
Not Forbidden. No, it was. It started with a T. I forgot what it's called. Do you know what?
We can't cheat.
We can.
Cheating. You should just use your brain. That's what it was there for.
Taboo. That was it.
Taboo. That's the one. See, it was in
so,
back there somewhere.
In my small peanut brain.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, Tom Hardy's doing really well, and he's now an addition to the Matrix. It'll be interesting to see whether he has a big role in it, but I can't wait to see that. Now Black Panther.
Well, like you said, it's going to be a three-parter, so he's going to be.
Yep, it's going to be a new trilogy.
He might turn into a new character.
Apparently, Black Panther 2 will resume production next year. Letitia Wright was injured. Lots of nasty rumors were spreading how she was getting fired because she wouldn't take the jab, which I don't think is true. I think it comes from the fact that she was she's deeply religious, and she said a few things that were deeply religious in the past. But I'm pretty sure Disney have got her on lockdown on that, and like you can't say anything. There are no words that you will put up on Twitter, Facebook, or whatever. How do you feel about that, Dave? Do you think celebrities should just not be on social media?
Pros and cons, isn't it?
Mm.
Like, we're on social media and we don't get no comebacks. Cool. So,
well, we do get some abuse. I've been told to shut the site down a few times.
Well, you might get abused. I don't.
I just want to say thank you to all our listeners out there. I know a lot more of you listen to our podcast than you do on YouTube. So we broadcast on YouTube. Where's the date gone? We broadcast on YouTube every Monday at 8 p.m. Sometimes we'll do Tuesday, but we'll let you know. But
sometimes on Wednesday.
Yeah. Thank you to all the listeners we've gained, especially in the past couple of months. It's been a slog, but we now have no days when nobody listens to our podcast, which gives me this sort of warm feeling inside. So thank you for appreciating the style, the quality, and the energy, which is...
we might make £1 next year.
Huh?
Might make £1 next year.
One can only hope. Now, I don't know, like, are you a big PC gamer?
No, I haven't got a PC, I've got a Mac.
Right. Well, this is still a personal computer.
I use Apple Arcade now and again.
One aspect of modern gaming is, like, you can mod games, and by mod, you can add your own features. So if you like Skyrim...
Yeah, I've seen all this on GTA 5.
Yeah, you can turn it into a version of Star Wars. If you like, or if you like whatever film out there, you can do that with. Now, Cyberpunk, which was released last year,
it was meant to be the world's biggest game that flopped.
It was meant to be the world's greatest game, based on one of the world's most best-selling RPG, pen and paper and dice games out there, Cyberpunk. Unfortunately, things didn't work out that way. But one of the things that have been successful is modders. Mm-hmm. Now, Keanu Reeves plays a character called Silverhand Johnny in that game. And somebody's made a mod where you can actually sleep with him, because you can romance characters. But he's one of the characters you couldn't romance. And now apparently you can. So if you want some cyber sex with Keanu Reeves, this can apparently now be found in Cyberpunk under a mod.
So if you want to give Keanu a blowjob, you can.
I don't know about that, but you can romance him as a character now. The Witcher's being released next week, and Henry Cavill is also. Isn't it this next week? This Friday.
17th.
Is it?
Yeah, it's this Friday.
Well, now you can see why I'm not.
Same day as Spider-Man.
Now you can see why I'm not a Time Lord.
Next week's Matrix.
Are we going to go and watch Spidey, or you?
Can do. Don't know. Maybe.
I'm just saying.
I'd like to.
Well,
but there's a lot of restrictions at the moment. I don't really want to sit in the cinema with a mask on.
Well, I get that. But if we get VIP seats, if we find a day when people aren't going, or going on early showing, I'm working late, or go to a cinema in Central. Find somewhere where there's not a lot of people. Meet me after work on Friday. Are you working Friday?
Yeah.
Oh.
We can do this off camera.
Well, we should go watch Spider-Man so we can do a review next week before all the spoilers start coming out, because I'm sure they're going to come out thick and fast. Spider-Man, but anyway, so The Witch is coming out on Friday, and if you know anything about the game, I think they're building up to what's called the Wild Hunt, which is a bunch of really super strong characters in the computer game, and they've described it as The Witcher's Thanos, which is a pretty bold claim for especially Netflix to make. So hopefully after 7 seasons, it should sort of build to that.
Yeah, but Thanos wasn't that great at the end, was he?
I wouldn't have messed with him. And he did punch out.
Without the glove, he just turned into a complete pussy.
I don't know.
Thor just went after him and just fucking chopped his arm off.
I don't know. When he didn't have, oh, you mean after he... Yeah,
after he'd done everything, he turned to a great big fucking wimp. Excuse my French.
Because the reason why I bring up the Wild Hunt and all the rest of it is Henry Cavill's everywhere, and apparently he's committed to the whole 7-season plan that they've got for The Witcher. But also, do you ever play Warhammer?
I never played Warhammer. It was a big RPG sort of thing.
Yeah, that he wants to be in the Warhammer TV show. Now, Warhammer, I don't know how well that would do, because World of Warcraft hit the cinema a couple of years ago, and that flopped. So I'd be interested to see if they could do a Warhammer TV show. I don't know who's been announced to do it, but Henry Cavill's put his boots into the.
Well, he's a big PC nerd, isn't he?
He is. He's like you.
He's big, tall, handsome, and a bit of a nerd.
Well, tall, strapping. Well, you are a bit handsome, Dave. Tall, strapping lad who's into really nerdy stuff, and that, I think, would be really, really cool. I'm surprised he didn't throw his hat in it to do Halo, because that would have been interesting. Because
he's got a helmet on and now can see his pretty face.
Exactly, and but yeah, Henry Cavill's everywhere, and I think Witcher. I think it's going to be big. It'll be interesting to see how big it gets. There is a lot of hate out there for the Netflix version of Witcher, which is due to the fact that they cast black people in a story with fictional characters. But, I can't help those people. In other comic book news, Skydance, the Walking Dead creator, the guy who wrote Invincible.
I lost you then. I got glitched out the Matrix.
All right, so the Walking Dead creator, the guy who wrote Invincible, Walking Dead, all the rest of it, and runs a publishing company called Skydance, is in talks to take over G.I. Joe and Transformers comics, which may not mean much to most people unless you're into G.I. Joe Transformers. Like, I'm into Transformers, never been into G.I. Joe, but Transformers has been under the IDW branding for the past, 10 years or so. It's been an interesting journey, but if Skydance get it, it'll be even more interesting to see where they take the comic book stories. IDW, funnily enough, is partially owned by Disney. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to get the license from IDW and start publishing in a couple of years' time. But I'm certainly excited about that. I'd like a new iteration on Transformers, so I find them getting a bit boring recently. I didn't like the last couple of movies that came out. I was all right with Bumblebee, but it was kind of like Ghostbusters 2 to me. Bumblebee, it wasn't necessarily a needed film. Didn't make much sense, but
Is
looks
that the one
good.
with John Cena?
Yeah, John
The girl
Cena,
from-
who's
and the girl from
literally
Hawkeye.
everywhere.
Oh, he's got to fight Henry Cavill soon, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever read any of the Transformers comics? I used to read a lot of them when I was younger.
I used to watch the cartoons as a kid.
Yeah.
They were quite good.
They were up until
apart
the
from
end
when
of
they used to surf. And I'm thinking, why did they not rust in that salt water?
Yeah. But all those
And
comics.
then someone's going to say, oh, they were made of titanium.
Yeah. Well, all of them were like that. Even He-Man. He-Man was a bit like that as well.
That's because people in the 80s were just mad.
A little bit bonkers. But yeah, Transformers. I remember. Did I ever tell you I tried watching season 2 of Transformers? I actually bought the DVDs when they came out years ago, thinking, "Wow, let me get into this. Let's see what's going on with this."
It's like watching Thundercats all over again, isn't it?
Worse. These were not well-made cartoons, and I know that it has its fans, but I can understand why Michael Bay gets it wrong, because clearly he watched the cartoons. And
he ain't gonna sit there and read the comics, is he?
Yeah, he clearly watched the cartoons. And if you watch the cartoons, those films are a masterpiece. They really are a masterpiece of filmmaking, because the cartoons are actually quite terrible in their own way. But it'll be interesting to see if the comic books that they do has any sort of effect on it. No second season of release date for the second season of Invincible's been announced. But one thing I did realize is, Game of Thrones, like George R. R. Martin, did you ever read the books?
I read the first one, and I think it was the fourth one.
Because George R. R. Martin still hasn't finished them, and I realizing
this is what they were saying. He didn't finish the books, and they just made the last season for HBO.
No, I reckon they did, because he would have told them what was going to happen. But I've realized that George R. R. Martin probably doesn't want to finish them, because he knows the ending's as bad as it is. Do you know what I mean? Because what did people hate about the last episode? Was it that what's her name died? She gets killed, right?
I think it's the way she got killed.
Right, so she gets killed, yeah. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's rubbish." But what else did they think was going to happen to her?
She just blew them all up, napalmed them. Let the dragon fart and just get them all. I don't know. The last season, I've erased that from my memory bank.
I know, but I'm just like, I don't see how any of it would have gone any differently. There was no other way for this to end. Do you know what I mean? It was like, it was only going to end up with people dying. And betrayal. They should
have all died and they'd have been happy.
Yeah. And they listened to the small guy who said democracy.
They should just kept the midget and that'd have been that.
No, vertically challenged, not midget. And right, so I was going through the news today, right? And I was reading some stories today, and somebody, I don't know if you saw, there were pictures of Madonna that were put out of her, like her 60th birthday, and she's in her undies and she's doing stuff, and like some people had a lot to say about it. But this story is just interesting to me because I find it quite funny. So a journalist tried to body shame Madonna, and she put a picture of Nancy Reagan and Madonna side by side. So Madonna in her undies, and then Nancy Reagan with her family. Is a way of slut shaming Madonna, right? But this is the interesting fact I found out today. Apparently, old Nancy Reagan, some writer in their biography mentions that Nancy Reagan back in her day was known as the best blowjob on us. No, literally as the queen of blowjobs in Hollywood. She used to be on a film set giving head, and everybody loved it apparently. And I was like, whoa.
Well, why wouldn't they?
They may not like being touched.
There you go. Everyone loved it because everyone knew they were going to get it.
But for like Nancy Reagan, wife of Ronald Reagan, that's a bit of a shock.
But he was an actor. That's very fell in love with her.
Well, yeah, no, true, probably. But I was like, wow. So I was like, don't body shame Madonna. You know, don't do it. Do it at your own peril, because there's secrets that everybody has, even me. So yeah, that was quite an interesting story today.
Wow.
Nancy Reagan, blowjob queen. Or like, what is it? Somebody did the little joke sketch. What was it? Let me see. It was. Oh, no, it's gone. No, I got it. No. Right, yeah, it was. Hold on. No, it's gone again. No, yeah. Doc Brown, Tell Me the Future. Who's First Lady of the United States in 1985? Marty McFly. Nancy Reagan. Doc Brown. Nancy Reagan, a blowjob queen? Doc Brown
was that actually said in the film?
No, but it would have been.
That would have been funny though.
Because remember, Doc Brown's was from the 5th. No, okay. So no, that happened. But yeah, that I'll put the link in the story so you can see that. Where were we? Now, Captain Carter is apparently going to get her own comic book from Marvel. I really enjoyed the Captain Carter bits. Did you like them in the What If?
Some of them are okay.
But I'm hoping they do a Captain Carter series.
But Captain Carter one was quite good.
I've heard rumored Captain Carter.
And there was nothing wrong with Agent Carter. I don't know why that got dropped. So
because it wasn't like, if you look at Captain Carter and there was a fundamental
do you think
problem.
Hayley Atwell's going to be that athletic to be Captain Britain?
Oh, if they pay her enough money, I think she'd do whatever else going to do.
No, but you mean she isn't like very agile like
true, but I don't think she'd have to be for the animated. If they do
if
animated,
it's a live action one.
I think you're going to see her in Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. I think you'll see her leading a team of alternate Avengers. And so you'll see her as Captain Carter. You'll see her, you'll see the Black Widow. A rumor is Tom Cruise might be in it as Tony Stark. Hopefully they'll call him Tony Stank, which will be quite funny, I think, because of the Stan Lee cameo in Iron Man. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, she's getting her own comic book next year, March. I think that'll be quite interesting. But I'm also thinking they need to do a TV series for her. I really do think that might work. Agent Carter, I don't think worked because it just looked a bit cheap.
Well, I think it's because it was on the backlog of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., wasn't it?
Yeah, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I said it before, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. looked really cheap. And because it was a TV show.
It was cheap though, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah, but you can't, as Disney Plus has pointed out, if you have a cheap looking show, people are going to treat it as such. And the problem with it was, it fell into those sort of TV show Arrowverse.
We didn't have the budget. That's the trouble.
Yeah. But
it's not going to have a budget of a movie, is it?
So how many times did characters die and come back? Do you know what I mean? It was like, even Agent, what's his name?
May?
No, the main one.
The one that died in the actual films.
Yeah. Even he.
How can I forget his name?
He kept coming back. He dies and comes back at least 2 times. It's like.
No, he died about 4 or 5 times.
It was just a bit. It was Clark.
Didn't Loki killed him in the film?
Agent Phil Coulson, that was it.
Yeah, he got killed in the film by Loki, and then he must have got killed. Back. And then he must have got because he was in Haiti.
Yeah.
Tahiti.
Yeah.
Tahiti. Yeah.
In fact, is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on Disney Plus at the moment?
It was. Because I watched the last season and I was very disappointed. Yeah, because he was an android in the end, wasn't he?
It's something like that. It just kept going round and round. It was like, I'm spinning around.
Yeah, Phil Coulson.
Agent Phil Coulson, such a great character. It'll be interesting to see if they can bring him back. He was actually married to Jennifer Grey.
Wow, lucky him.
Well, yeah. But he was married to Jennifer Grey. And for those of you young ones who don't know who Jennifer Grey was, she was like the 80s, early 90s starlet of the time, I think. She was in Red Dawn. She was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Dirty Dancing, and then, sort of drifts off because I think she had a nose job. At which point it all changed.
It ruined. Yeah.
It ruined the baby face, which
You
everybody
did
loved
what?
like, girl, come on. But yeah, hopefully she'll make a bit of a comeback. But yeah, she was in a lot of 80s films until Dirty Dancing made it big for her. But then she did a few other films, bit parts. And I think what's the last thing she's done? Oh, The Connors. The Connors. She's in
Is
that.
that the one with Roseanne got sacked for being a racist?
Yes. And apparently she blamed the drugs. She blamed the drugs, and that was that. So yeah, that's what was I? Yeah. So that's why I think Agent Carter got cancelled. It just looked cheap. They fell into really rubbish tropes, and that was it. And that's the big difference between that and what Disney Plus is putting out now. And if they ever did an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. again,
well, that's the trouble. If they'd done it now with the budget of Disney behind them, then it'd be a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you look at Winter Soldier and Loki and stuff like that, it was better quality.
Yeah.
Story wasn't that good on half of them, but it was better quality.
I think COVID sort of messed up Winter Soldier, Falcon, and I think that should have just been a film. I really like, I know they weren't sure about Sam taking the shield, but I think it would have worked better as a film. Cut out a lot of the fluff around the sides and just had a straight up movie.
Yeah,
and
it
would have been fine.
It would have been a lot better.
What else is there? Captain Carter. There's a new.
Oh, your favourite program's been cancelled already.
What's that? Cowboy
Bebop.
It wasn't my favourite. I've never been a fan. Like, I tried watching the anime. Like, people keep raving about it, and I'm like, it's all right.
I watched the first episode and I thought, what the hell are the people ranting and raving about it?
I think it's a shame it got cancelled. There was a lot of hate for it because the first season of something is never the first season. I believe I was told
it's either hit or miss, isn't it?
Yeah, and shows like that need a second season because the first season apparently was a copy of the anime. And I think it could have done with a second season, but the way Netflix work, if you have a massive, they had a massive opening on Netflix, but apparently it dropped by 69% by the second week. And if your show does that, it doesn't matter how big the opening is, they'll cancel you. That's why so many of
people like me that watch the first episode and went, "What's this trash?" and turn it off.
So yeah, but that's me. But if you're like me, and I won't necessarily binge watch something in the first week, I'll watch the first episode one week, next episode next week, or maybe a couple of those episodes next week.
Yeah, some programs are hit and miss.
Yeah, so it's a shame. I feel sorry for the cast, but it could have been a better production, to say the least. And that's being cancelled. But yeah, that's a good call, Dave. I didn't even think of that one. Maybe I was crying too much.
Trouble is, even the production of it was like very 80s Japanese slapstick sort of style, like Monkey, and it was like, I've seen all this before.
That's a really good point, Dave. I haven't watched enough of it. But yeah, no, I'm with you there. The DC, right? Brian Michael Bendis, I think, again, is probably one of the better writers of his generation, and probably one of the most hated writers in comic books. I don't know why. He's the guy who brought us Miles Morales. He's the guy who wrote a lot of the great storylines that you've had in the Marvel stuff. The Extremis that happened in Iron Man 3 when storyline. He brought, like I said, Miles Morales. He also created a character for DC called Naomi, which doesn't sound very superhero-ish. Naomi, is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Naomi. And that was brought to production and will be joining the Arrowverse shows. But I think it will stand apart, so it'll be much more like Superman and Lois.
I was going to say, it's not going to be
but
part
that's
of the
getting a TV show
for,
that's coming in March, and that should be interesting to see how that does. Because it's a character that's got connections to Hawkman and a few other characters.
The trouble is all the CW stuff. That's another one that's badly filmed, badly budgeted.
Yeah, but I don't hold that against it. It's aimed at kids and teenagers. I'm not I'm not being bad, but
so was Stargirl. Look how bad that was.
Yeah, but Stargirl started off a bit more edgier. The first season of Stargirl was quite enjoyable. By the second
It was
season,
watchable, but then it just got
yeah,
stupid.
I think the second season it got really, for me, it got very unwatchable. Whereas the first season was an absolute treat. I don't know whether it's budgetary issues. I don't know whether they don't know where to go, or they've just got too many writers on the show.
And Supergirl was
Shows
the
like that
same.
could just
It
do.
was good, and then it just got so repetitive with the same stupid stories.
Which one's that?
Supergirl. That started off really well, and then it
Yeah.
just started going really bad.
Well,
Stories.
they fall into tropes, and this again is where I think the problem with these shows is they're still run like they're running for commercial TV stations.
Well, that's what it is. Because they're trying to do
Whereas,
one a day, so people are constantly watching, and eventually
Yeah.
they get bored.
no, but what I mean is, so if you with Disney, they get a writer in, they go, you got 10 episodes. There's no advertisers to worry about, so you don't just write the story. Whereas with the CW, it's on a channel, so you've got breaks, you've got advertisers, and it limits what type of story you can tell. And I think that's what the problem is. As long as, and the Supergirl is very, especially the second season, is written like the normal TV shows, the CW shows. You know, oh, should I get out of them? Should I kiss them? Should I tell them this? Should I, and it's like,
Shall I keep my secret?
yeah, and it looks, and they need, that only just came to me, thank you, Dave, but that only just came to me that I think is what the real problem is. That especially with Warner Brothers, they haven't transitioned to like streaming service product. They're not focusing on the story enough to tell, and they keep falling into the tropes. That's why the Flash is in trouble. How much better would the Flash is 22 episodes a season? How much better would the Flash be with 10 episodes over an hour with just focused storytelling? Do you know what I mean?
Very good. First 5 seasons of Flash was good. And then just went.
That's the thing, but they literally told the best story. And every season since then has been a blatant copy of your enemy's super fast, and that's it.
Well, it's just the same stuff over and over again. That's what I'm saying.
Look how good it was when they had Captain Cold. Like Captain Cold, at least was the guy who played him was a really good actor. And his brother, and what's his name? Fire.
Oh, the Prison Break dudes.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Get them back and force them to tell a decent story as opposed to, I think it was lightning sabers they were using last trailer I saw. I was like, no, I'm out.
I've just turned it off. I said I can't deal with any of this no more.
So I think if they really, like, that's where Warner Brothers is in the problem with it. And even with their films, they haven't transitioned from, yes, they can do the spectacle. Batman versus Superman has one of the best openings I've ever seen on a film. But the film as a whole is like, it's all about spectacle. The story was so secondary. It was like, why even bother? Man of Steel, same issue I had with it. It was all about, it starts, the first hour is actually quite enjoyable film. But the rest of it, I could take it or leave it. I don't know how you feel about it, but like DC really just seem to need to learn how to transition into this new sort of like, people want a good story. People want to be entertained. People want to see Superman successful, but why'd you keep doing this to us? Justice League, even with the redone version of it, and the extra hour, I think, altogether, you sat watching it and it's like, what was the point of Batman building this bat tank? And it lasts all of 10 minutes. Literally, and it makes no physical sense as a machine at all. Like, it doesn't help. Did you remember that whole scene when they're rescuing the people from, what's his name? The Darkseid's lieutenant, yeah, when they're rescuing all the people in the tunnels. That tank makes no sense. It literally goes down a wall, and it's like, why?
I don't think any of those films make sense.
Yeah. And people,
I mean, you had like the Dark Knight trilogy, and they were, all 3 films were brilliant. And then,
well, the first two, brilliant.
Oh, you didn't like Bane? Tom Hardy again?
I think it went a bit too, after the Joker doing what he did, it went a bit too big.
Well, you ain't gonna top what happened with the Joker, are you? It was like,
Like what sort of terrorists are you that want to set a nuclear bomb off in of all places, Gotham?
Well, Gotham's a dangerous place to live.
Yeah. No, I didn't hate it. I just think it went a bit too big, and it went a bit too cheesy. And
Well, I
in the
think
end,
they
I
just
was
had
like,
they had to finish off a 3-movie deal, didn't they?
yeah. But like I said, it works like an indie film overall as a trilogy, and I love it for that.
But then you got the new ones, and they've just been all terrible. All the Superman, Wonder
I
Woman's the
just
only
feel
one that was
sorry
good.
for Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck is a good Batman. It's just the film wasn't up to scratch. It
wasn't
made
written
no
properly.
sense. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a scene where he's got that thief, the guy, and he's like, he wants to scare this dude. So a parademon comes to get him. Are you telling me there's nobody else scared in Gotham? I'd be terrified living in Gotham, let alone a villain doing a robbery. But that's the whole, and then there was a whole thing of him stamping. Nothing in that film was well thought out. There's a whole story of him. He stamps criminals, right? He brands them. So they go to prison and people will assault them because they're branded. That made no sense. It's like, if you're a criminal in prison and Batman's branded you, what interest do you have in assaulting another criminal?
And they're probably all branded anyway.
Like you're a paedophile. Do you know what I mean? It's like it makes no actual sense at all. But I did like Ben Affleck's Batman. I think he was superb. I think they aged him a bit too much. But apart from that, I think he was a really good Batman. And I hope he's in the new Flashpoint Flash film. Apparently he's going to be in that. And I hope he is, because I think he deserved a better outing than he got. The new trailer for the Batman dropped this week as well. I know you don't tend to watch trailers, Dave. Did you catch this one at all?
No, I'll catch the original trailer.
Okay, well, a new one came out and it just drops a bit more beats about what the Riddler's up to. And according to some people, they've spotted the Joker in there. I think there's already a clip where he beats up some guys with clown masks on. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Joker makes some kind of appearance. But I'm not getting me hopes up. And quite honestly, I've had enough Joker. But I am looking forward to that film. Emo Batman. It didn't work for Spider-Man, but it could work for Batman, as it makes.
Apparently, Robert Pattinson's going to be pretty good. So,
well, I hope so. I don't have I have a problem with Robert Pattinson in Twilight as a glowy vampire, but I don't have a problem with Robert Pattinson as an actor. I think he was quite good in that film, the time bendy one, Tenant. Although I didn't enjoy it, I thought he was quite good.
Oh, what, the most overhyped film in the world?
Yes, just because of its visual effects. And I'd say, Dave, the final scene, which is the first scene, the final scene when they're all fighting and all that stuff, that is quite spectacular. My only issue with it is, again, it wasn't that interesting. It was rich guys fighting over time. And a depressed Russian gangster. Why can't they just hire Russians?
Always rich guys fighting. Have you not noticed that in these movies?
Yeah, but it was just like, I'm gonna end the world because I'm a bit depressed. I'm like, are you fucking having a laugh? You're literally gonna end. He loves his son, right? Again, which I don't get. He loves his son, but he's literally going to wipe out time and space because he's a bit depressed. That makes no sense to me. You're right over there. You look like.
I think there's a cat on the roof.
Okay, well, we'll leave it alone.
I can hear it running backwards and forwards.
Right, so getting back onto it, I was going to talk about the film The King's Daughter, but unless you've seen the trailer, there's no point. We can hit that one up next week.
Never even heard of it.
You up to date on the Wheel of Time?
I am up to date on the Wheel of Time.
What do you think of it? Did you enjoy it?
I've now got to the wheel.
Yes, indeed. I'm starting to like it more. It had what felt like a very traditional start, but now it seems to be.
It was, yeah, it's very. I think it's getting on to introduce the characters, basically, wasn't it? But it just dragged on 2 episodes too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the last episode seems a lot better now that, like, she's been banished, but not banished. Going to find the dragons. And I reckon it's just all 4 of them mixed into one at the end.
Maybe. I think there may be a few more twists for us. I mean, it's like 15 books or something ridiculous. I couldn't read the books if I tried to. They made no sense. And I think once somebody mentioned swords, I was like, there's no way a sword is going to bring peace to anything. But we shall see. It's got that last episode was a lot more enjoyable for me, just because it was a bit more. Again, it seemed to be breaking the traditional, and it didn't seem to be going along traditional rules. And it had a slight element of his dark materials, just in the sense that they're like, there's fate, but there is no fate. You still have your own options. You can do what you want. It's up to you. There's a bit of a less of like annoying Harry Potter way. So that was quite interesting. Lost in Space, that wrapped up. I finished it last week. What did you think of it? Not a fan. The last season of Lost in Space is great.
The first season was very good. And that's another one that after the second season, I struggled a lot to watch.
It did have a bit of a
season. I think I watched 2 episodes.
Okay.
Was this the third one or the fourth one?
Third. I think it only had 3. I enjoyed it. I thought it was quite banging. But
maybe I got to like near enough the end of the second season. But that was a hard slog. I watched it because if there was nothing else on, I'd give it a go. But like I said, that fake doctor woman, she's just so boring, and it was always about her.
That's fair enough. I'm not going to sit in judgment with you, Dave. I think, fair enough. It's a good enough reasoning for me.
Well, like Will Robinson was getting attacked by a killer robot.
Yeah,
and then he made it good, and then suddenly there was another killer robot, and then.
Well, this season's got a lot more.
If they want to watch it.
This season's got a lot more robots. Again, I don't think it's a bad season. I think the last season is very rushed.
But it must have had a really big, massive budget because it's visually very good.
I think it was all right. I think the special effects that they do are slightly easier to do nowadays. It was definitely big budget still.
Yeah, it's big budget green screen. So.
But I think it was a bit rushed. So I'd be interested to find out how much they did spend on it and how much of a hit it was or not. Because, like I said, it wasn't terrible, but I can understand why people don't like it. Now, Hawkeye, what do you think of the last episode? They finally introduced Yelena from Black Widow, the new. Black Widow.
I read something about that they kept her secret.
They did, but and they banned her from Instagram apparently as well. Really? Yeah, but I thought it was quite a good episode.
I quite like Hawkeye. I reckon it's probably one of the best out of the 4.
There's 2 episodes left that will take us up to the 29th,
Christmas.
Which is the same day that
the Summer comes out.
Yes, no. It won't actually, because this episode's on the 15th, so the 22nd. So it'll take, because there's only 2 episodes left, isn't there? Is it 3?
2. This is the 4th one, wasn't it?
Okay,
so with 2 episodes,
and is it 6 altogether?
6 altogether, yeah.
Yeah. So all right. So it should take us up to Baba, which will be interesting. Still no sign of Kingpin, and I reckon Kingpin might be our own version of Mephisto. Because remember, everybody was saying Mephisto was going to appear in The Scarlet Witch, and Mephisto was nowhere to be seen. I've heard rumor people even think that he might be the Purple Man. If you remember from Jessica Jones's story, appears as her uncle, as Echo's uncle. But so far, no sign. Haven't seen a smidgen. It'd be nice if we could get Kingpin and some of the Netflix characters in there. Because especially the Punisher, I was all right with Luke Cage. A lot of people were not, but I was all right with Luke Cage. The only
Luke Cage was okay.
The first season,
Punisher and Daredevil were the 2 best ones.
Yeah, and obviously the people are clamoring for it. We know Daredevil's appearing in Spider-Man, but we don't know much else apart from that. And I heard rumor that the extra Spider-Man won't even be appearing in the main film. It won't appear until after the credits. So it's going to be interesting what happens with Spider-Man this Friday when that comes out. And I really want to see
basically, it's all for the multiverse of madness.
Yeah.
The
But
big
we'll
hurrah.
see. We'll see. Any number of things can happen. Disney's got the money; they can put the dosh out there. But yeah, Kingpin still hasn't appeared in Hawkeye, but we'll wait and see.
But the guy that
what
played
happens there.
Kingpin in the Daredevil show was really good as well.
What's that?
The guy that played Kingpin,
Yeah,
the Daredevil TV show was very
I've
good.
got a feeling he is going to be in it because Echo's got her own show coming up in a couple of next year, and he in the comic book is her uncle.
Yeah.
So he adopts her. So, but whether or not that happens, I don't know.
And she's the one that thinks he's dead, doesn't she?
Thinks he's dead. Kingpin.
Yeah.
No. She knows Kingpin's alive. She just doesn't realize that Kingpin's the
I
one
thought
who
that's why
killed
she
her
was
dad.
after Hawkeye.
No, because Hawkeye killed her dad.
Apparently.
As Ronin. Apparently, but I don't think he did. Yeah, I'm with you there, Dave. I don't think he did. I think it's her buddy, but we shall see. But are you enjoying it at the moment?
Elena.
Well, it could be. No, I reckon her mum hired Elena.
Well, I think this is like a big thing up to the new Avengers, isn't it? With the new Hawkeye, the new Black Widow.
Yeah, I reckon that what's her name? Hawkeye's mum is involved with
You mean his wife?
Huh?
His wife.
No, Hawkeye's mum is involved with the
no, that's not Hawkeye.
You know the woman who plays
the girl. You're talking about the girl.
Black Widow. No, let me get Black Widow up. So the character that appears in Black Widow and hires
the same one that hires the bad Captain America.
Yeah, and I forgot her name, but she, I reckon, is the
she's going to be the new Colt.
Associated with her because her mum's dangerous. People already underestimating the mama, but I reckon the mum killed the dad. Do you remember the day when the big attack, the alien attack happens in Avengers? I reckon the mum took the opportunity to whack the dad.
Maybe.
Because it doesn't make it, a lot doesn't make sense about that scene. Like the mum was
just disappeared, didn't he?
Yeah, so I reckon she whacked the dad, or the dad's pretending to be dead, but we'll see. What else is there? Yeah, so Kingpin, we've got 2 episodes left. I'm hoping Kingpin makes an appearance. Also, again, the Young Avengers are coming on nicely. We've had most of them appear. We've had Scarlet Witch's kids appear in, obviously, the Scarlet Witch. You've had the Black Captain America, the original Black Captain America. His son is in the comic book as one of the Young Avengers as well. Kid Loki, who isn't, but I think will replace another character. And obviously Hawkeye now. So the Young Avengers are coming together.
And Elena from Black Widow.
I don't think she's in the Young Avengers, but she could be. She's young enough. She's definitely young enough to do it. But Yelena, I think, I can't wait. I'm loving the Hawkeye so far, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Now, I know we spoke about He-Man and Master of Revelation last week. I said I liked it. You still haven't watched it? You got to watch it because
I've watched the first part. I haven't watched the second part yet. I'll save that for Christmas
because I think it sets up another series. Because obviously, I think this is going to be a trilogy of.
Are they still 20-minute episodes?
Yeah.
And how many is there? 5?
I think it's 4 or 5. There's not many.
I'll watch them at work.
And the first episode of The Expanse dropped on the weekend.
Episode was a new season.
Again, I wish that
people would actually watch it.
But no, it's one of Amazon's biggest shows. It's really, really good. It's really well written, and this season is building up to something massive. So check that one out. It's got the best.
I'm going to try and binge watch the first season. And if I can get through
it doesn't. The first season is really hard. So once you get through the first season, it just
I don't want a 10-hour challenge.
I know, but I'm not going to force you to. Also, I got fed up of watching Star Trek Discovery on Pluto TV because you don't have it on demand, and you have to sit through adverts, and the connection is really bad on Pluto. I don't know why, but it keeps cutting out. So I just bought the whole season. But forget.
So you haven't given up. You just brought it instead.
Yeah, I just bought it, so now I own it. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, man. I'm loving Star Trek Discovery. I hope this isn't the last season because usually they announce the next season, but they haven't announced the next season yet. But I hope it's getting another season. The fans outpouring was so massive that they got it onto Pluto. So hopefully they'll announce the next season soon. Because I love. Please don't cancel Discovery. Because I can't take all the
Cancel
abuse.
everything Star Trek. It'd be give the world a favor.
Oh, very. And that's it. Any more news from you, Dave? Anything I missed?
Maybe. Probably quite a lot you've missed.
I know they dropped a trailer for Fantastic Beasts today, which dropped in the past couple of hours. But yeah,
you know what? I've never watched any of those.
I'm not bad. Some
I watched every Harry Potter film,
but
I don't know. I think the guy's just.
God.
That's
there's
Eddie.
another
What's
story
his face,
that
isn't it? Eddie Redmayne. Is that Eddie Redmayne?
Yeah. No, you're right.
Like
you're
him.
right.
He's a bit annoying.
Well, The Witcher, Henry Cavill said he'd love to be in Mass Effect.
Henry Cavill wants to be in everything, doesn't he?
Well, apparently, yeah. Well, he revealed his interest.
Anything to do with a computer game, he wants to be in it.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, he's a massive nerd, and I can imagine him being, at some point playing.
Well, he's probably sitting on those film sets after a shoot and like a 4-hour break. I'll just put on the Xbox or whatever.
Smack the Xbox on or put the PC on, and he's away.
That's right. Because didn't he build his own PC?
Yeah.
See, that's a G right there.
No, Henry Cavill's awesome. I've got a lot of time for him. All right. Well, I think that's it, Davis. That's our lot. I think we've spurted our load, and we've hit the hour mark by just over 6 minutes. How awesome are we? We still want you back, Big Mike. We want you back.
Come home, Mike.
Come home.
Come home.
The boys from Bossk need you. Right, well, that was the latest edition. We'll be back next week with our Spider-Man review. We might do it as a separate show completely. I think we'll have to do it as a separate podcast, as it may be too much to do in one sitting as we normally do. So be ready, ladies and gentlemen, as we give you our full Spider review. This was
Boys from New York.
Live from New York, yeah. This was the boys from Bossk. Ladies and gentlemen, good night.